Welcome to the Mada Hugh Show. I'm Hugh.
And I'm Madalina, and we are very excited to present today the sequel of last episode of Tools of Our Trade.
In this episode, we're going to be playing a fantastic arrangement of Aram Khatchaturian's world-famous Sabre Dance, arranged for piano four hands by Greg Anderson.
Sabre Dance is Khatchaturian's most famous piece. Composed in 1942, it is a movement of the final act of his ballet, Gayan. In this movement, the dancers display their skills with sabers, a little bit dangerous, right? Originally it was composed for orchestra, and the very first thing that captures your attention is the xylophone that you will hear at the beginning for octaves. And there's a lot of percussion instruments in there, and generally the piece is extremely energetic, and it has a middle part that reminds the listener of a sort of Armenian song. Khatchaturian was Armenian, but then the piece ends in a lot of noise, I would say, and overall it's pretty cool and a bit crazy. So.
And one of the challenges of adapting an orchestral work for just one instrument, the piano, is trying to replicate the colors and the excitement that the orchestral version presents. And I think Greg Anderson has done a phenomenal job of expanding far beyond what the piano typically can do. Now, Greg Anderson is part of the world-famous piano duo Anderson and Roe. They've been playing together for, at this point, about over 20 years, and he writes many of the arrangements that they do, and I think he's an absolute genius. And let's take a few moments to talk about, as we started to talk about last time, some of the extended techniques. And one of the things I really appreciated what you were mentioning is that the extended techniques really both start with our bodies, how we use our bodies.
They start and end with our bodies.
So one of the distinctive things that we have in this piece are the use of what we call glissandi. And I just want to kind of go on our overhead cam over here. This is the music, and I want to show you on the music. When we go over here, you can see these indications of these notes. Let me get my little marker here. You see the note over here with a line sliding down of the word gliss, kind of an abbreviation of the word glissando. And that technique basically looks like this. You take a whole bunch of these notes and you slide your hand down. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. Can you show us a few ways? Yeah.
So I would say the most common way of doing a glissando is using the nail of your thumb. Basically going down, obviously, with the right hand, right? And going up with your left hand, right? Something like that.
So using your thumb kind of as a rudder,
yes, right? And a glissando is rolling notes. It's like a fast, very, very fast scale, but instead of hearing individual notes playing very fast, you just hear like a roll, like a slide, exactly, like a slide. So so that's one way with thumb's nail, and there's another way.
Yeah, there's actually the other kind of glissandi that we do in the music is actually done on the black keys. You can see this indicated over here, where you see a flat on that note. Okay, so he's intending. The composer wants you to slide on the black keys, and that presents its own different challenges. Using your thumb on the black keys is much more painful because of all these gaps.
No, do not do that.
So what we do instead is actually use our hand. We turn our hand down and use our fingers.
Not necessarily the fingers, but also a big portion of
you can use your hand.
Yes,
I use my fingers.
Cover as many notes as you can and make the slide much easier for you.
And in fact, that became so comfortable on the black keys that I actually started adapting it for the white keys as well. Instead of using my thumb, using my fingers that way too. I actually found it to be eventually more comfortable for myself.
Yeah, so I remember first when I was learning to do a glissando, and my teacher was trying to prevent me from hurting myself, right, from injuring, because using too much of the nail can really lead to
pain and blood
and blood, yeah.
Suffering.
Right, and it's actually what it takes is to feel the exact amount of resistance that the keys demand from you, and go with it. So instead of putting a lot of weight into overcoming each threshold of each key, you just feel, like I said, the right amount of resistance, and you go up or down.
And that's the real trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not having your thumb too thick, too stiff,
Yeah.
not having it too loose, stiff enough so that it actually depresses the keys, yet loose enough that you don't hurt yourself, right? And you can actually go faster.
Yeah, the challenge with glissandos comes with every piano, I would say.
Yeah.
Depending on the action of the keyboard, some pianos really allow very, very
Some
easy
are lighter.
movement. Yeah, some are lighter, so that glissandi are no problem,
Right.
are no-brainer. But for pianos that have a much heavier action, yes,
More blood will be spilled.
a lot of caution, and
you build up a lot of calluses with this. Boy,
it does.
My skin is nice and thick thanks to this piece. Now, there's a couple other things I want to show you in the music really quickly. Moving forward in this piece, there's a couple really interesting gymnastics that we have to do where we're reaching kind of around each other before we get to, So you were talking, one really great spot is this, where we have to actually contort our bodies so that, see if I can show this over here. So for instance, in one of these sections, you actually have to reach, under my hand,
yeah, with
right?
my left hand, so that I
You
can
have to reach
play this
under my right hand, right? And
exactly. So and then you can play above,
Mm-hmm.
right? And one of the tricks that I use, because I have long arms,
Mm-hmm.
is to lower my left shoulder, right? So that he doesn't get too uncomfortable with playing, and also that it has enough room. And I have to make sure that I get the chord, right? And also this extends to the next bar. It's the same thing. And then I have to retract my left arm really, really quickly.
Yeah, so
and the speed, because the piece is played
really fast.
It's really fast, yeah. It's kind of challenging.
So we actually have to change the shape of our bodies.
Exactly.
There's another spot where I have to lift up my elbow and you reach underneath and give you room for that as well. So again, a lot of coordination of that. Now in the music, there's also one other interesting indication. You can see the note heads are indicated as X's in the music instead of note heads. And that tells us that the piano is meant to be struck like a percussion instrument. Now, of course, the piano itself is a percussion instrument just from the fact that we're pressing keys and the keys are throwing hammers and the hammers are hitting the string. But this indicates that we're supposed to hit the piano in a different way, maybe by striking the wood underneath the keyboard or hitting the music rack. Yeah.
So the X's mean that no pitch should come out, just noise, what we call noise, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We
were experimenting.
We were experimenting with different ways to realize that. And by doing this, by hitting here or here the music rack, it just didn't sound prominent enough. And, we came up with the idea of using a foreign body, right?
You can see with the overhead cam, we placed a tambourine instead. So we thought this would be kind of fun to do that instead.
Yeah, and I think that it matches very well the orchestral colors.
Yeah.
So, I think so. It really reminds us of that a little bit.
Yeah. So at the very end, there's a really neat section where I'm doing a glissando at the end, reaching up to the top, and you do another acrobatic thing where you're reaching around to hit the bottom note. That's a really cool effect too. We kind of took that one step further, and this is actually your idea. Where now my last note is I gliss up and hit a note, right? But then you suggested, why don't we just do this? We've got the tambourine here. Why don't we do both at the same time? I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, too. I mean, since we got this here, let's use it more than once so that it doesn't look accidental.
Yeah. So, what do you say? Shall we give this piece a try?
Absolutely.
All right. he actually indicates at the beginning of this piece to play it like Jerry Lee Lewis. Great balls of fire. I think we put the piano on fire. What do you think?
Well, yes. Let's say only because of the glissando. Let's say only because of that.
What a great arrangement. I'm going to have links in our show notes so that if you want to learn this yourself, Greg Anderson, the Anderson and Roe, the great piano duo, they actually have an online store where you can purchase a lot of their arrangements. I think most of them are written by Greg. So I'll have a link to that so that you can get your own copy of it. Greg, if you're watching or listening to this, thank you so much for writing such an amazing arrangement.
It's brilliant.
And it inspires us to maybe write our own arrangements. So what do you think? Do you have a favorite song that you would like us to maybe arrange? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we would like to take offers from you regarding
suggestions?
compositions, yes.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe so that we can let you know whenever we have new episodes. For watching or hearing this as an audio podcast. For Mada and Hugh, I'm Hugh.
I'm Madalina, and thank you so much for watching this.
And listening.
And listening, exactly. And we will see you next time.